Have you ever wondered what might happen if a person who was believed to be dead somehow came back to life? We all know that once someone passes, they're gone forever. But what if that wasn't the case? Hi everyone. Today I'm going to share with you the unbelievable story of Jame, a man whose death led to a discovery that no one could have predicted. Join us here in Animals Need Love as we dive into the journey of Jame, a man who seemed to have it all, but whose life would change in ways no one could have ever predicted. You won't believe what happens next. Jame Williams grew up in a life that many people only wish for. He was born into a rich family. His father was a successful real estate businessman who made a lot of money and collected special items. His mother was a well-known doctor who saved many lives and was respected for her work. Even though he had wealth and luxury around him, Jame was very down to earth. While others might have been dazzled by their rich lifestyle, Jame appreciated kindness, humility, and helping others. His parents taught him to be grateful and not to take anything for granted. But life can be unpredictable and tough. When Jame was only 18, his world changed when his mother died suddenly from cancer. The loss of his mother, his closest friend, left Jame heartbroken and lost. He tried to find comfort in his father, but just a few years later, another tragedy occurred. Jame's father became very sick and passed away. Now, Jame was alone, mourning not only his parents, but also the love and support that had guided him. The bright future he had imagined was now filled with uncertainty. Despite his deep sadness, Jame decided to move forward and honor his parents' memories. He chose to follow his father's path by pursuing a career in real estate, focusing on collecting rare and valuable items, a passion his father had shared with him. Before long, Jame began to succeed. His natural talent for business helped him make smart investments, close good deals, and become a respected figure in real estate. Alongside this, he developed a deep interest in collecting ancient artifacts, a hobby that had once been his father's passion. Jame's success in both business and collecting showed the lessons his father had taught him. However, even with his wealth and achievements, Jame always remembered the values he learned. He stayed kind, thoughtful, and generous. Despite the hardships he'd faced, Jame never allowed grief to define him. Instead, he used his success to give back to the community that had supported him. In the months following his father's death, Jame returned to his family's home, which he had inherited, and made it his mission to improve the city. He funded repairs to schools, paved new roads, and even oversaw the construction of a small hospital. But Jame's generosity didn't stop there. He also donated large sums to underprivileged communities, created scholarship funds for children who couldn't afford education. His efforts made a real difference, and he quickly became a beloved figure in his town. People were constantly in awe of how much he had done, and he became known not just for his wealth, but for his deep kindness and commitment to improving the lives of others. But on one morning, the unthinkable happened. Jame's stepsister, Natalie, came to his home and found him lying still on the floor. Fearing the worst, she quickly took him to the hospital, hoping the doctors could save him. Sadly, the doctors confirmed her worst fears. Jame was dead. The cause of death was unclear, as there were no signs of injury or wrongdoing. The medical team suggested an autopsy, but Natalie, still in shock, recalled that Jame had always strongly opposed autopsies, believing they disrespected a person's dignity. To honor his wishes, she decided against the autopsy and instead made plans for Jame's funeral. That night, Natalie was restless. She wanted to do something meaningful to honor her brother's memory, something that would give his passing a sense of purpose. In her search for answers, she stumbled across an article about scientists who researched the bodies of the deceased, studying them for up to a year to learn more about life after death. It was a unique An unorthodox approach, but it resonated with Natalie. Jame had always cared deeply about knowledge and making a difference in the world, and this seemed like the perfect way to carry on his legacy. The next morning, she contacted the scientists, offering Jame's body for their research, and after signing the necessary documents, she agreed to donate the compensation to a local orphanage. While it wasn't an easy decision, Natalie felt that it was a way to give Jame's life even more meaning. Little did she know, this decision would lead to a shocking revelation that no one could have anticipated. Jame's funeral was an emotional affair. With the church packed full of mourners, people from all over the community came to pay their respects, showing just how much he had meant to everyone. Natalie, still reeling from the loss of her brother, managed to keep it together long enough to arrange the ceremony. Before the coffin was sealed, the scientists arrived at the funeral home to fulfill their unique research plan. They carefully attached a small camera to the inside of the coffin. This camera, designed to record and transmit footage for a year, would capture the final moments of Jame's body after death. It seemed like an odd request, but Natalie, knowing how much Jame cared about scientific progress, allowed it. The camera would be set to begin recording every evening at 7 p.m., ensuring that they would gather valuable data for their research. After the ceremony ended and the coffin was lowered into the ground, Natalie left for another city, hoping to distract herself from the overwhelming grief. Meanwhile, the scientists anxiously awaited the first footage from the coffin. At 7 p.m. that evening, the camera inside Jame's coffin began recording. The scientists anxiously watched the footage as it was transmitted to their computers. What they saw made their blood run cold. Jame was moving. His fingers twitched and his chest appeared to rise and fall, as if he was breathing. The scientists were stunned. Jame had been declared dead just hours earlier. How was this possible? They immediately made a copy of the video and rushed to the police, desperate to understand what was happening. The police were stunned by the footage the scientists presented, but they wasted no time in taking action. They arranged for the exhumation of Jame's body, hoping to confirm the impossible. Meanwhile, Rachel, Jame's stepmother, was at home unaware of the unfolding events. She was enjoying a quiet evening with a glass of expensive wine when the sound of sirens interrupted her peace. Before she could react, a police van pulled up in her front yard. Rachel's heart skipped a beat. She quickly rose to her feet, putting on a smile that was anything but convincing. "Hello, officer," she greeted nervously, trying to mask her fear. The police weren't fooled. "We're here because of Miss Rachel," one officer said. Rachel's face went pale and her hands began to tremble, so she quickly hid them behind her back. Even before the police could explain why they had come, Rachel began acting suspiciously. "What exactly do you want? Do you have a search warrant?" she demanded, her voice shaking as she blocked the door, refusing to let them enter. It was clear that something was terribly wrong, and the officers were ready to find out exactly what had happened. The police and scientists finally confronted Rachel, and with the evidence mounting against her, she began to crumble. In a tearful confession, she admitted to drugging Jame with sleeping pills in an attempt to search for valuable artifacts she believed Jame had hidden away. When she returned to find Jame unresponsive, she panicked, fearing she would be caught and accused of murder. She had forged documents about his heart condition and convinced Natalie to reject the autopsy. But the plan hadn't gone as she intended. "I didn't mean to kill him," Rachel sobbed. "It was a mistake." Before she could continue, the door to the police car opened. To Rachel's horror, James stepped out of the police car. He was alive, breathing, and standing before her. She stood frozen, unable to comprehend what she was seeing. Jame had regained consciousness in the coffin when the sleeping pills wore off. In a panic, he had tried to escape, but the coffin was too tight. The only thing that saved him was the camera in the coffin, which had captured his movements, leading to his exhumation and miraculous survival. Jame had suspected his stepmother's greed for some time and had hidden the valuable artifacts in a secret warehouse, protecting them from Rachel's schemes. Now, with the footage and his miraculous survival, he could expose her for the treacherous person she truly was. Once Jame regained his strength, he revealed everything to the authorities. He had suspected Rachel's motives for years and had been preparing for the worst. The artifacts were safely hidden, and he had even planned for a situation like this, ensuring that if anything happened to him, there would be evidence to expose Rachel's crime. The footage from the camera, though it seemed like an odd choice, was now his lifeline. It was proof of what had really happened, and it would bring Rachel to justice. Natalie, stunned by the truth, felt a deep sense of guilt. She had trusted Rachel and had been manipulated by her grief over James' supposed death. Realizing the depth of Rachel's betrayal, Natalie apologized profusely to Jame. Though she had been tricked, she knew she had to stand by him now. Jame, ever forgiving, assured his sister that he understood and that it was not her fault. Together, they would see Rachel held accountable. With the evidence from the camera and the confessions, the authorities charged Rachel with attempted murder, fraud, and other related crimes. She was arrested and tried for her actions. Despite her desperate attempts to explain away her crimes, the jury found her guilty, and she was sentenced to a long prison term. All her assets were seized, and the treasures she had hoped to steal were returned to Jame. And so, James' journey from tragedy to triumph serves as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always a way to rise again. His resilience, unwavering moral compass, and commitment to justice not only helped him survive, but also brought those who sought to harm him to justice. As Jame moves forward, his life remains a testament to the power of family, love, and the belief that good can prevail, even in the most unexpected circumstances. What do you think about James' incredible story? How do you feel about the shocking twist involving Rachel? Do you believe James' decision to forego the autopsy was the right one, or would you have handled it differently? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching to the end. If you find our video interesting, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with others. Finally, don't forget to turn on our bell and subscribe to our channel. Animals need love, so you don't miss any of our new videos. Thank you for your support. Wishing you all peace, happiness. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.